Hello there, and welcome to our video on how to set up your first smart list. If you're not familiar with this feature, a smart list is an option within your account to manage a go-to list of field options that can be used across multiple forms to save you on time and manual updating. For example, let's say you have multiple forms that all have an employee directory list. You can use our smart list feature to have one spot for that list instead of having to manually add and edit the list each time you create a new form. To get started with setting up your smart list, you will want to select your profile icon on the top right and then choose Smart List from the drop-down options. Once you've selected Smart List from the menu, you can create a new smart list by clicking the Create option on the top right. From here, you can customize it to your liking. Starting with the name of your list, and then choosing to use separate values or images if you're using radio button or checkbox fields. The advantage to using something like separate values is that users can display a label with a different value associated with it. A great example of this would be if we wanted each employee name to also have a corresponding email address as the value. The next step is to choose if you'd like to upload a list of values or manually configure your options for the smart list. As you can see, the first option to manually configure can be done below by inputting the data into a table that you can add, delete, reorder, or export as needed. For our employee directory example, we've already created a CSV that we will be uploading with a list of contacts that we plan on using for this smart list. I'll go ahead and click on the upload option, and then you'll notice that the maximum file size when using this feature is 128 kilobytes, and that you can choose to keep or skip the first row of data. It's also important to note that skipping the first row of data allows you to pick whether or not the headers of the CSV will be used as a row of information. For our example, we only want to include the names of our employees, and we'll be skipping the first row. Another important tip is if you've already been manually adding contacts on an existing smart list, uploading a CSV will replace any existing options here, and we would recommend exporting the current data to not lose any info. We will go ahead and complete our upload and now have the list of employees that we'll be using on our forms. It's also worth mentioning that you can customize who has access to this smart list by toggling the User Access tab on the right, and then you can add or revoke access as needed for whoever else might be working on your account. It's important to note that any admin would have access to this smart list, while standard users will need to be manually added. Let's go ahead and take a look at how to add this smart list to one of our forms. I've got a simple HR form here where we ask the applicants to select their name from the list. For this example, I have a radio button field for our list option, but you could use another compatible field like our drop-down, short answer, or checkbox fields if you prefer. Once your field is created and you've selected it, you want to navigate to the field-specific section on the left-hand side. From here, you have two options with how you can use the smart list that you had just created. The first option is to create a custom list. Going with this option will only let you copy the list itself, while still letting users add, delete, or reorder options without affecting the original smart list. The second option that you can choose is to link to a smart list. This will make it so that the fields will automatically update with the smart list that you're working on. When your field is linked to a smart list, options are disabled and can't be added to, deleted, or reordered on the form. If you'd like to make changes, you would need to utilize the smart list editor that we had explored earlier. Once you've added a smart list to your form, you can go back and you'll notice a new section when editing your smart list. The Linked Forms tab will show you all the forms that are now linked to the smart list. Here you can view and unlink if needed. It's also worth mentioning that unlinking the form will copy the smart list data to capture the field options, but it will stop any future changes from occurring if you were to go in and make an edit to the smart list itself. That's it for how to create your first smart list. Thank you for watching.